Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Layo Adegoke. We begin in Rwanda, where the government says it will start giving third doses to the elderly and those who have underlying conditions starting on Tuesday. The Health Ministry made this known, adding that the implementation will be done in phases to begin in the capital Kigali, and third doses will be given to those who are over the age of 50. Those between 30 and 50 will only get the extra shot if they have an underlying condition. The World Health Organization says this group should get an additional jab as they are at higher risk of infections after their first vaccines. Health workers are also eligible for the third dose. Africa cannot be blamed for identifying and sharing crucial science and health information with the world. That's according to the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who says he is deeply concerned by travel bans on the southern region of Africa. In a statement shared by his spokesperson, Stefan Dujarric, he added that the lack of vaccines in those countries is a factor in the emergence of the new variant.
We issued a bit earlier this morning, the Secretary General commended the government and scientists and health community of South Africa for acting early to identify the emergence of a new COVID-19 variant. The Secretary General said he is now deeply concerned about the isolation of southern African countries due to new COVID-19 travel restrictions. As he and others have long warned, low vaccination rates are a breeding ground for variants. The people of Africa cannot be blamed for the immorally low level of vaccinations available on the continent, and they should not be penalized for identifying and sharing crucial science and health information with the world. The Secretary General appeals to all governments to consider repeated testing for travelers, together with other appropriate and truly effective measures, with the objective of avoiding the risk of transmission so as to allow for travel and economic engagement.
China's President Xi Jinping has promised to send to Africa some 1 billion COVID vaccine doses to help close the vaccination gap. The president made the pledge during the China-Africa summit, which opened yesterday. Out of the 1 billion, 600 million doses will come from China directly, while 400 million will come from other sources linked, like funded production sites. While China has already been giving doses to African countries, this recent pledge comes amid the spread of the new Omicron variant that was first detected in southern Africa. Dutch health authorities say the new variant was present in the Netherlands a week earlier than previously believed, and checks are on the way to see how far it has spread. The RIVM National Health and Environment Institute said it had found the coronavirus Omicron variant in 2 test samples that had already been taken in the Netherlands on November 19 and 23rd. Well, the first Omicron cases in the Netherlands were thought to be 14 infections on 2 flights from South Africa to Amsterdam on Friday, November 26. The 2 earlier Dutch infections also came before South Africa first reported the new strain on November 24 to the World Health Organization. Well, we'll move on to other stories. Ahead of World AIDS Day, the joint United Nations program on HIV and AIDS has issued a stark warning that AIDS remains a pandemic and that bold actions against inequalities are needed to stop COVID-19, to end AIDS, and also to prepare for future pandemics. Addressing reporters in New York, the director of UNAIDS New York office, Dr. Cesar Nunes, says this year marks 40 years since AIDS was first reported and 25 years since the establishment of UNAIDS by the UN Economic and Social Council. UNAIDS is also warning that the world could face 7.7 million AIDS-related deaths over the next 10 years.
The news that I bring to you today from this report are actually a stark warning that AIDS remains a pandemic, and that this report calls for bold actions against inequalities that are needed to end AIDS, stop COVID-19, and prepare for future pandemics. What are the measures that are needed to tackle inequalities as presented in our report? Number one, community-led and people-centered infrastructure. This is something that we have seen one and again proven to be effective. Second, equitable access to medicines, vaccines, and health technologies. Third, human rights to build trust and tackle pandemics. Fourth, elevating essential workers and providing them with the resources and tools they need. And fifth, people-centered data systems that highlight inequalities. We have reached a fork in the road, and the choice for leaders to make is between bold action and half measures. The data is clear. It is being too gradual. That is the unaffordable choice. Every minute that passes, we're losing a precious life to AIDS, and we don't have that time.
Away from health matters, Sudanese activists are calling for more protests across the country to denounce the political deal that reinstated Abdallah Hamdok as Prime Minister. Now, this despite a meeting between Mr. Hamdok and members of resistance committees. Khartoum State resistance committees reportedly said in response to Prime Minister Hamdok's meeting with alleged representatives that if the creation of fictitious bodies could protect the authority, then ousted President Omar al-Bashir would have still been in power. On Monday, Mr. Hamdok reiterated that the political atmosphere does not allow for the beating of protesters because in recent demonstrations held before his deal with the military, at least 42 people were killed after security forces fired live bullets at the protesters. The Ugandan army has launched joint air and artillery strikes against the rebel group, the Allied Democratic Forces in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Uganda's People's Defense Forces spokesperson confirmed the operations that were carried out with Congolese allies against the ADF camps. Ugandan authorities blame the ADF, which is affiliated to the Islamic State, for a series of bomb attacks in the country since October. 2 weeks ago, its IS claimed responsibility for the twin bombings just outside the capital Kampala's central police station and also near the parliament. At least 5 civilians were killed in those bombings, some of which were suicide attacks, according to the Ugandan police. As part of events marking the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, UN Women is launching its new report called Measuring the Shadow Pandemic, Violence Against Women During COVID-19. Well, new data shows that the COVID-19 pandemic further intensified gender-based violence. The report also comes as the world kicks off the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. That's from 25th of November to the 10th of December under the global theme set by the UN Secretary General, Unite campaign, Orange the World, End Violence Against Women Now.
1 in 3 women, they continued facing suffering physical and or sexual violence. And most of these forms of violence, they have been experienced by their own intimate partners. And this day was just the tip of the iceberg, because these rates do not include sexual harassment or violence in digital contexts, harmful practices, sexual exploitation, etc. And even worse, we do know that such violence against women and girls is one of the most underreported crimes because of stigma and because of lack of confidence to authorities.
Almost 1 in 2 women reported that they or a woman they know experienced a form of violence against women since the pandemic began. Exposure was highest amongst women in Kenya, Morocco, Jordan, and Nigeria, while those in Paraguay were the least affected by reported such experiences. Overall, 1 in 4 women reported that violence against women most commonly experienced is verbal abuse or denial of basic resources. UN Women put forward some policy recommendations, including putting women at the center of policy responses, allocating enough resources to address violence against women in recovery and response plans, strengthening services for women who experience violence, investing in medium and long-term prevention efforts, and really ensuring that gender statistics and sex disaggregated data are collected regularly, such as these surveys that we just conducted to measure the impact of COVID-19.
Well, back here in Nigeria, women and civil society organizations in Taraba State, in the northern part of the country, through the office of the wife of the governor, are asking the state government and security agencies to rise to the occasion by taming the increasing number of gender-based violence in the state by investigating and dispensing quick justice against offenders. The women in a peaceful protest say the state is a red zone for gender-based violence and it is underreported due to fear of stigmatization.
According to UNICEF, gender-based violence is the most pervasive yet least visible human rights violation in the world. Gender-based violence occurs at any point in a person's life in times of peace or instability, with threats soaring in crisis settings, taking numerous forms such as trafficking, child marriage, unwanted pregnancies, sexually transmitted diseases, trauma, among several others. As part of efforts to create awareness to residents and intimate them on the dangers associated with gender-based violence, this protest is led by the wife of the Taraba State Governor as well as other civil society organizations.
We want to see people get involved and fight and say something against this. We want to see the security getting up, investigating these reports timely. We want to see the Ministry of Justice prosecuting this issue. We want to see the judiciary giving quick justice.
Despite the fact that there are other forces that is militating against our effort, one of such forces is the parents not really wanting to go ahead with the case whenever it's been established. But thank God, the VAB law have made enough provision where perpetrators will be prosecuted within the limit of the law, and where, of course, survivors, again, could be compensated.
The state government, on its part, says the negative image painted by gender-based violence is a disgrace to its existence and assures of making arrangements for special courts to try violators.
If it means enacting a law that will actually penalize people heavily, I don't want lightly. Even if it is myself, I want it. I want myself to be punished. Yeah, it's true. So that it will show an example to others, so that they will be deterred from doing that. If a whole SSG was caught doing this, and then he has been punished heavily. So that means this government, nobody is a cow, sacred cow.
It's expected that government and other relevant agencies will come up with stringent measures to tackle this menace.
Still in Nigeria, the president of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, says before President Muhammadu Buhari leaves office in 2023, Nigerians would witness remarkable developmental projects that would have better impacted on the citizens. He made this statement in Yobe State while commissioning 120-bed capacity mother and child hospital constructed by the Office of the Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals.
According to Nigeria Demographic Health Survey 2018, the under-5 mortality rate in Nigeria stands at 132 per 1,000 live births, while 1 in 10 Nigerian women dies at childbirth. As part of efforts to change the narrative, the federal government, in partnership with the Yobe State government, has constructed 120 beds per capacity mother and child hospital in Gashua, the Yobe State capital. The president of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, believes the new facility will help reduce high mortality and morbidity rates.
There are about 20 or even 30 of these across the country, including Benue State. So it's all over the country, and what bothers Mr. President and his administration is to save the women of Nigeria, to save the children of Nigeria, to save Nigerians, provide good health facilities, and by the grace of God, before he leaves in 2023, Nigeria would have seen all the goodies that the president has promised them.
While the Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, Mrs. Adejoke Adefulire, reveals that 20 similar hospitals are ongoing across the country.
We have commissioned Lagos, we will commission Oyo, we commission Ogun, Benue State, Taraba State, Abia State, Niger State, River State, Kwara State, Kogi State. They are already Taraba, Kebi is almost completed. Gombe is almost completed. Jigawa is ready for commissioning. All of these facilities is to complement the effort of the state government and to fill in the gap.
The state coordinator of the SDGs explains further that the federal government recovery and rehabilitation process in the state is remarkable.
Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs awarded contract of 98 fully furnished classrooms. As I speak to you today, work has already commenced.
It is believed that initiatives like this would help reduce mother and child mortality in the state and Nigeria at large.
Guinea's ruling military junta says deposed President Alpha Condé has been transferred to his wife's home in the capital, Conakry. The National Rally Committee for Development, as the junta is known, said in a statement on state television that Mr. Condé was now with his wife, Hadja Jene Kaba Condé. It said it will continue to provide the former head of state with treatment worthy of his rank, and this without any national or international pressure. The 83-year-old ousted president was being held incommunicado since he was ousted in a coup on the 5th of September. He had led Guinea since he was first elected in 2010 in Guinea's first democratic transfer of power. Well, Guinea was suspended from the West African regional bloc ECOWAS following the coup. ECOWAS also imposed travel bans and a freeze on the financial assets of Guinea coup leaders and their families while calling for Mr. Condé's unconditional release. The UN World Food Programme says the number of people in need of humanitarian food assistance across northern Ethiopia has spiked as a direct result of ongoing conflict. According to the UN organization, 9.4 million people are living in devastating conditions. Of the people across northern Ethiopia in need of assistance, more than 80%, that's equivalent to 7.8 million, are said to be behind battle lines.
It's been a year. When this conflict started, we said it was dire. 6 months into it, we said it was catastrophic. 3 months ago, I warned that the West was yet to come. Today, 9.4 million people are living their West nightmare. Of the people across northern Ethiopia in need of assistance, more than 80%, equivalent to 7.8 million people, of them are living behind battle lines. The nutrition situation is no better as well. Across North Ethiopia, it is fast deteriorating, with screening data from all 3 regions showing malnutrition rates between 16 to 28% for children. Even more alarmingly, up to 50%, half of pregnant and breastfeeding women screened in Amhara and Tigray were also found to be malnourished.
Women and girls with reduced mobility suffering from vitiligo and visible burn spots, as well as cancer patients, take to the catwalk in an event to battle misconceptions and empower women with disabilities in Tunisia. Let's take a look.
Elegantly strutting on a catwalk in the Tunisian capital, women with disabilities and cancer patients dazzled audiences in a fashion show aiming to battle misconceptions about beauty standards. "12 women and young girls, including cancer patients, people with disabilities, patients of vitiligo, and visible burn spots, participated in the second edition of the Rak Malak, or You Are Beautiful fashion show organized by Rotary Club Tanit Carthage.
Rak Malak is an event for women with cancer, with a physical disability, or any woman who feels different, but in fact, she is not different. The event is a fashion show where we bring fashion designers and beauty specialists to dress and do makeup to them, to go out to the red carpet in the presence of their families and the people they love.
Twirling in colorful and trendy designs, The models exhibited their outfits in the backdrop of a 20th century palace in Tunisia's Sidi Bou Said. Among the participants is 40-year-old Miri Zakria, a model with burns, whose accident in 2009 has seen her battling social stigma ever since.
I was very happy with the event, and the atmosphere is beautiful. All the people are happy. We want to show society that everyone who has an accident, no matter what the accident is, has the right to live, has the right to be integrated in society, and is a human being like everyone else. There is no difference.
The event is organized to empower women with disabilities and fight the stigma that discriminates against people living with one condition or the other.
As cinema returns to Somalia, an upcoming film, Ayanle, by film director Ahmed Farah, is making waves. The new 90-minute film, up for release in February, will be the first film screening for 3 decades in Somalia's war-ravaged capital, Mogadishu.
This is the new film Ayanle. The story is set in Nairobi's suburb of Islay, home to many Somali families, and follows a Somali actor dreaming of a breakthrough in Hollywood, but who is frustrated that he's only ever cast as a pirate or terrorist.
Action! Do you believe your cause is justified?
He ends up impersonating a member of Somali's Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab insurgency to scam $500 from a gullible Western journalist. After the scam TV interview, he becomes entangled with the police elite anti-terrorism unit. The new 90 minutes film is due for release in February, and it will be the first film screening for 3 decades in Somalia's war-ravaged capital, Mogadishu. Somali-Dutch director Ahmed Farah wrote the movie based on scams he saw while working as a news cameraman for international TV networks.
I came across a lot of interesting stories. Stories that you hear when the camera is off. And for those years, I used to collect those stories, and some of them were even better than fiction. And those stories happen different places in Africa. And I wanted to tell a story that people, especially from same background, same region, can identify with. So I had to find, how to put that all together and make a movie out of it.
Stay strong, brother.
It took Farah 8 years to write, finance, and shoot the movie, and the Islay community rallied around the film by donating refreshment or home-to-use assets. The police helped by offering cars and let Farah into the local jails as a replica set. U.S. Somali actor Bakada Diraman, who acted in Hollywood movie Captain Phillips and starred in Kenya's Oscar-winning short film Watu Wote, plays Ayanle. It says most of the crew and actors had experienced the kind of police harassment shown by the film, and many were nervous about publicly acting like terrorists, especially when police were around.
We kind of had that situation, and when we were filming in Islay, there were a scene where we were training as Al-Shabaab members, and some of the cops was taking photos, and kids, the cast, were very uneasy, and I can sense it. So I asked them what's going on, and they were like, if those cops took our pictures, and later when this film is done, they'll come and interrogate us and put us in jail, whatever, the same situation the main character, Ayanle, went through.
For Farah, the most exciting thing about the movie is the blossoming of Somali cinema and the chance to show more than pirates, refugees, militants, and war.
And that's it on the program today. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Adegoke.